up your YouTube, search for Stukeley Meadows, watch on your big screen.
Or another device if you're at home.
Get yourself comfy, this could take a while. What a happy scene. Something new every day for your long-term memory. This is so exciting, it is nearly time for a Stukeley assembly. Yeah, I know you watch the assembly every Wednesday. Yeah. Yes, Mum. Yeah. Yeah, I know, but that's not your decision. That's not your call. I'll tell you what, I'll ask the children. Yeah, I'll ask them. Okay, thanks, yep. Yep, say hi to Dad. Yep, bye, yep, love you. Bye, 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 bye. Sorry everyone, that was my mum. You know, my mum watches all the assemblies, loves it. Oh, she loves it. Her favourite's Wednesday reading assembly, but she just rang me and said, please don't show George's Marvellous Medicine. Don't show that rancid stuff in your garage. She said, when me and your father watch it, it makes our stomachs turn. Well, that's not my problem. Anyway, I thought I'd ask you. So before we get stuck into assembly, hands up if you want to see the medicine. It's about 6 weeks old now. Hands up, you want to see the medicine. Do that. And now hands up if you don't want to see the medicine. See? Most of you across the school put your hands up. I'm going to show it in a minute. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday reading assembly. For each other we, every day we, to improve we, together we will. Every single Stukeley day we focus on. Our Stukeley motto is, our Stukeley curriculum is, our Stukeley plan for home learning is. 4 words that make the magic happen. Yes, they do. Morning or afternoon, everyone. It's George's Marvellous Medicine today. We've got a few more chapters. I am going to show the medicine because you guys voted to see it. However, before that, we've got a bit of a Darl Dickens and a random question about chickens quiz. I knew you'd get pumped for this. You need a paper and a pencil or a book, somewhere to write these things down. Younger children, you and your teachers might just do this yourselves. Get yourselves ready. I'm going to go over there, get my stuff. I'll see you back here in a mo. I didn't actually have to go and get anything. I just had to move the table tennis table. You know the table that was here? Looked just a bit awkward, didn't it? Yeah, moved it. Anyway, right, 6 questions. The final one's about chickens. The others are about Darl and Dickens. Question number 1. Off you go. Pause the video, teachers. Obs. Question number 2. What's that you say? Question 3. Come on. Question 4. Question 5. Question 6. Last one. Come on. Okay, I hope you had a good go at those. There were a few we'd had before. Come on, bit of regular retrieval. Okay, here are the answers. Good luck. Okay, well done everyone. Bit of a warm up there. Right, let's get stuck into George's Marvellous Medicine. Before that, I said it was about 6 weeks old. I think it's longer than that. Here we go, guys. Lids off. Oh no. I know I keep saying it, but that smell is horrific. Still, quite a lot of liquid in there. I mean, I'm not sure how the light is. I mean, it's just not nice. And those of you that are sponge fans, sorry, I know some of you don't like that. I know it, but you know, you voted to see it, right? Oh, okay. Just gonna go and get the book. I'll be about half an hour. See you in a bit. Oh, hey there, George's Marvellous Medicine. We've been reading this for a few weeks now. I think we're going to finish it next week, which means we'll be done by half term, which will be excellent. We met George, lived with his mum and dad. They were out. He was at home with his gran. She's horrible to him. He made up her own medicine with the most incredible selection of ingredients. It turned her body and her mind crazy. Her body blew up. It went thin. It went tall. It went short. She grew tall. Then he went and gave it to some other animals on the farm. His dad loved the idea, Mr. Cranky. Mum was a bit anxious, but George and his dad are now trying to work out what on earth they can do with this medicine. Grandma's still stuck out in the barn. She's absolutely massive, and so are some of the animals. Thanks, Mr. Jones, for the bookmark. Mr. Cranky's great idea. Let's do this. The next day, George's father came down to breakfast in a state of great excitement than ever. "I've been awake all night thinking about it," he cried. "About what, Dad?" George asked him. "About your marvellous medicine, of course. We can't stop now, my boy. We must start making more of it. More and more and more." The giant saucepan had been completely emptied the day before because there'd been so many sheep and pigs and cows and bullocks to be dosed. But why do we need more, Dad?" George asked. "We've done all of our own animals, and we've even made Grandma feel as frisky as a ferret, even though she does have to sleep in the barn." "My dear boy," cried Mr. Killicranky, "we need barrels and barrels of the medicine, tons and tons. Then we'll sell it to every farmer in the world so they can all have giant animals. We'll build a marvellous medicine factory and sell the stuff in bottles at £5 a time. We'll become rich and you will become famous." But wait a minute, Dad," George said. "There's no waiting," cried Mr. Cranky, working himself up so much that he put butter in his coffee and milk on the toast. "Don't you understand what a tremendous invention this is and what it's going to do to the world? Nobody will ever go hungry again." "Why won't they?" asked George. "Because one giant cow will give 50 buckets of milk every day," cried Mr. Cranky, waving his arms around. "One giant chicken will make 100 fried chicken dinners, and one giant pig will give you 1,000 pork chops. It's tremendous, my dear boy. It's fantastic. It'll change the world." "But wait a minute, Dad," George said. "Don't keep saying wait a minute," shouted Mr. Cranky. "There isn't a minute to wait. We must get cracking at once." "Oh, do calm down, my dear," Mrs. Cranky said from the other end of the table, "and stop putting marmalade on your cornflakes." "The heck with my cornflakes," cried Mr. Cranky, leaping up from his chair. "Come on, George, let's get going. And the first thing we'll do is make one more saucepanful as a tester." "But Dad," said little George, "the trouble is, there won't be any trouble, my boy," cried Mr. Cranky. "How can there be trouble? All you've got to do is put the same stuff into the saucepan as you did yesterday. And while you're doing it, I'll write down everything, and then we'll get the magic recipe." "But Dad," George said, "please listen to me." "Why don't you listen to him?" said Mrs. Cranky. "The boy's trying to tell you something." I realise I got my Mrs. Cranky voices all mixed up there. But Mr. Cranky was too excited to listen. And then, he said, when the new mixture's ready, we'll test it out on an old hen, just to make completely sure we've got it right. And then we'll shout hooray and build a giant factory! But, Dad! Come on then, what is it that you want to say? Said Mr. Cranky. I can't remember all the hundreds of things I put into the saucepan to make the medicine, said George. Of course you can, my dear boy, said Mr. Cranky. I'll help you. I'll jog your memory. You'll get it in the end. You'll see if you don't. Now then, what was the first thing you put in? I went up to the bathroom first, said George, and I used lots of things in the bathroom and on Mummy's dressing table. Come on then, cried Mr. Killicranky. Up we go to the bathroom. When they got there, they found, of course, a whole lot of empty tubes and empty aerosols and empty bottles. That's great, said Mr. Cranky. It tells us exactly what you used. If anything's empty, it means you used it all. So Mr. Cranky started making a list of everything that was empty in the bathroom. Then they went to Mrs. Cranky's dressing table. A box of powder, said Mr. Cranky, writing it down. Helga's hair set. Flower of turnips perfume. Terrific, this is going to be easy. Where do you go next? I went to the laundry room, said George. But are you sure you haven't missed anything out up here? Said his dad. I'm not sure, said George. Come on, said Mr. Cranky. Have you missed anything out? I don't think so, said George. So they went down to the laundry room, and again, Mr. Cranky wrote down the names of everything that was empty. Bottles, cans, all sorts of stuff. My goodness me, you use so much stuff, said Mr. Cranky. No wonder it did magic things. Is that it? No, Dad, no, it's not it, said George. And he went out to the shed where the animal medicines were kept, and he showed him the 5 big empty bottles up on the shelf. Mr. Cranky wrote down all the names. Anything else? Said Mr. Cranky. Little George scratched his head, and he thought and thought, but he couldn't remember having put anything else in. Mr. Killicranky leapt into his car. He drove down to the village and bought new bottles and tubes and cans of everything on his list. He then went to the vet and got a fresh supply of all the animal medicines that George had used. Now, show me how you did it, he said to George. Come, show me exactly how you mixed them together. Now here is a picture of Mr. Killicranky and George with all of the ingredients. Now let's have a very quick look when I made the medicine in here. Let's have a look at my ingredients. Brilliant! Right, next chapter. Marvellous medicine number 2. They were in the kitchen now, and the big saucepan was on the stove. All the things Mr. Cranky had bought were lined up near the sink. Come along, my boy, cried Mr. Killicranky. Which one did you put in first? This one, George said. Golden Gloss hair shampoo. He emptied the bottle into the pan. Now the toothpaste, George said, and the shaving soap, and the face cream, and the nail varnish. Keep at it, my boy, cried Mr. Cranky, dancing around the kitchen. Keep putting them in. Don't stop. Don't pause. Don't hesitate. It's a pleasure, my dear fellow, to watch you doing your work. One by one, George poured and squeezed and emptied things into the saucepan. With everything so close to him, the whole job didn't take any longer than 10 minutes. But when it was all done, the saucepan didn't feel quite as full as it did the first time. Now, what did you do? Cried Mr. Cranky. Did you stir it? I boiled it on the stove, said George, but not for long, and then I stirred it as well. So Mr. Cranky lit the gas under the saucepan, and George stirred the mixture with the same long wooden spoon. It's not brown enough, said George. Oh, wait a minute, said George. I know what I've forgotten. What? Cried Mr. Cranky. Tell me quick, because if we've forgotten one tiny thing, it won't work. Well, not in the same way. I put in some brown gloss paint, said George. That's what I've forgotten. Mr. Killiecranky shot out of the house like a rocket, got in the car and flew down into the village. He bought the paint and rushed back again. He opened the can in the kitchen, gave it to George. George poured it into the saucepan. "Ah, that's better," said George. "That's the right colour." "It's boiling!" cried Mr. Killiecranky. "It's boiling and bubbling, George! Is it ready yet?" "It's ready," said George. "At least I hope it is." "Right," shouted Mr. Killiecranky, hopping about. "Let's test it. Let's give some to the chicken." "My heavens alive! Why don't you calm down a bit?" said Mrs. Cranky. "Calm down!" cried Mr. Cranky. "You expect me to calm down? And here we are mixing up the greatest medicine ever discovered in the history of the world. Come on, George! Get a cupful out of the saucepan, get a spoon, and we'll give it to the chicken, just to make certain we've got the correct mixture." Outside in the yard, there were several chickens that hadn't had any of George's marvellous medicine. They were pecking around in the dirt in that silly way that chickens do. George crouched down, holding out a spoonful of marvellous medicine number 2. "Come on, chicken," he said. "Good chicken. Buck, buck, buck. Come on, chicken. Buck, buck, buck." A white chicken with black specks on its feathers looked up at George. It walked over to the spoon and went peck. The effect that medicine number 2 had on this chicken was not quite the same effect as medicine number 1, but it was very interesting. "Whoosh!" shrieked the chicken, and it shot 6 feet up in the air and came down again. Then sparks, I showed you that picture too early. Then sparks came flying out of its beak, bright yellow sparks of fire, as though someone was sharpening a knife inside its tummy. Then its legs began to grow longer. Its body stayed the same size, but 2 thin yellow legs got longer and longer and longer and longer. "What's happening to it?" cried Mr. Killiecranky. "Something's wrong," said George. The legs went on growing, and the more they grew, the higher up in the air went the chicken's body. When the legs were about 15 feet long, they stopped growing. The chicken looked ridiculous with its long legs and its little body high on the top. "Oh, my sainted aunts!" cried Mr. Killiecranky. "We've got it wrong! The chicken's no good to anybody. It's only got legs. Nobody wants chicken's legs." "I must have left something out," said George. "I know you left something out!" cried Mr. Cranky. "Think, boy, think! What was it that you left out?" "I've got it," said George. "What was it? Quick! Flea powder for dogs," George said. "You mean you put flea powder in the first one?" said Mr. Cranky. "Yes, Dad, I did. A whole carton of it. Then that's the answer." "Wait a minute," said George. "Did we put brown shoe polish in?" "We didn't," said Mr. Cranky. "I used that as well," said George. "Well, no wonder it went wrong," said Mr. Cranky. He ran to his car and he was soon heading to the village to buy more flea powder and shoe polish. And we're going to stop there. The next chapter, and we're going to finish next week. I'm going to have to read it quite quickly, but we're going to finish next week, is Marvellous Medicine number 3. They're going to try and get this right. Okay, straight into Cheer, Boo, Song or Silence. This one is a cracker. Will they get to cheer or will they get to boo? With either one there must not be violence. They may well get a song, but it will not last that long. We really hope they do not get silence. Hello everybody and welcome to Cheer, Boo, Song or Silence. We're back in the studio and behind the red curtains we've got Miss Nisbet. Now lots of you know Miss Nisbet from working in school. She works in year 6, she works in other classrooms and she does first aid at lunch times. Lots of you will know Miss Nisbet. She works on the school crossing. Some of you say Lollipop Lady. Lots of you know her as CJ. Anyway, she's behind the curtain and she cannot wait to come out. Will she get a cheer, a boo, a song or silence? What do you think? Oh, she has done this before and it was great news, so I hope we get it again. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh, can I just say before she comes out, thank you to those of you that are getting off your bike and your scooters and pushing them across the zebra crossing. That's what she would like. Thank you for those of you doing it. Out you come, Miss Lidbett! Sorry, oh, she's actually going off to do the crossing. Oh, she's just broken the stick. She's broken the stick. Let's see how the audience react to that one. Out you come, Miss Will they get to cheer or will they get to boo? With either one there must not be violence. They may well get a song, but it will not last that long. We really hope they do not get silence. Do you know what? We haven't had, apart from when I showed the nostalgic videos, apart from the old videos, we haven't had a cheer or a song for ages. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, not many shout outs today. We have got a couple of birthdays though. So first of all, happy birthday to Maya and Evie, both in year 6. Happy birthday girls. Have a great day. I wish you could celebrate with a cup of George's Marvellous Medicine, but you can't, unfortunately. It's for grown-ups only. Have a good day, girls. Fun with family and friends, I'm sure, and then more fun to be had at the weekend, I am sure and hopeful. Just to give you the heads up, tomorrow I'm going to play you the second ever digging up things you shouldn't expect or you didn't expect video. It's a cracker. That's tomorrow. And I've got a wonderful story to share with you about some Stukeley values that some children showed outside of school. And it was well, you could say it was a lifesaver. It just brought a smile to people's faces. Let's finish with most important 60 seconds. The most important 60 seconds are coming up now. The most important 60 seconds are coming up now. I talked about manners yesterday. I'm going to talk about manners again. Saying please and thank you when it fits the sentence. Sometimes please and thank you doesn't work, but when it fits the sentence, and when you've got something to say thank you for, or when you've got something to say please for, remember it. It costs you no money at all. It doesn't cost anything to say please and thank you. It's free and it puts a smile on people's faces. Don't forget your pleases and thank yous in the dinner hall. Don't forget your pleases and thank yous when you're eating dinner in your classrooms. Don't forget your please and thank yous when you're outside with the playground equipment. Don't forget your please and thank yous when your teacher or an adult is handing you things out in the classroom. I tell you, the best manners, the best please and thank yous happen when you're not with adults and you say it because it's the right thing to do. You don't say it because there's an adult there. You say it because it's the right thing to do. Remember your manners. See you tomorrow.